keeps the dancers happy. Claus has given this presentation a number of times, and we're very, very happy to have him with us to do the second half, which I believe is a different look at the square, but in today's session, probably looking a little bit more of how to take what he showed us last time and move it into the resolution categories. So everybody, please welcome Claus Warneke. And I probably got it wrong again, didn't I?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you also, all of you, that you came back. And I start again with sorry about my bad English. Last session we had a lot of single points, not really a system, only single points. But today we will make it a system when we put all together. Let me share the screen and we will start. So you should see my screen.
Yes.
Wonderful. What's coming today? I think it's important to review the most important parts of the part one. Then there is some more rules, but not so much. It's really one very important and a little additional. Then we put all together, making a system, and I show you some examples. Here are the summary of the last time. I have my own words for everything. So I find it's important to review these. There are 3 states in the square. These are, I call it A, B, C. A is everyone has their partner. One couple has their partner and the other couple has not, or nobody has a partner. The most important system is B, because it's 50% of all cases. Now it becomes a little bit complicated. It could be a real or a false A or B. A real A or a real B means the partners have each other by the hand, except in waves. In waves must be the same facing direction. A false A and a false B, it means the partners are in the same half of a square. We have a lot of figures, but there are not so much figures that changed from A to B. I call it AB changer. It's maybe AC-doocy or spin chain through. It's only when one person goes from one half to the other, it's an AB changer. We have 8 element left spots, but only 4 of them could be used for home resolutions. That's is important a little bit later. Some differences to the normal classic core system. Everyone knows the FASR. I put formations in groups. I put arrangement in groups. Sequence is my top priority. Because when I learned squared calling, I learned it by myself, and I found it's the most important thing to get the sequence right. Relationship does not important for me. We'll come to later. And additionally, I put figures in groups. Let's look at the points, formation groups. I call it an A situation, that we have two-phase lines or in and out facing lines, and a B situation. It's you can read it by yourself. The yellow part is a B situation. There are much more formations, but are not considered here, because if you resolve a square, you cannot do it from columns or diamonds or something. You have to use one of these formations. I put arrangement in groups. I call it normal for zero arrangement or half arrangement, because that's the arrangement my system works very well. And unnormal, or mostly I call it crazy arrangements, are the numbers 1 to 4. If we have a crazy arrangement, you have to normalize to zero or half arrangement, and the system will work. Sequence, I found a system that you can resolve a square only by watching two boys. It's also possible with girls, but I use boys. And that is the important question, but we are not answered last time, but it will come today. You have to know a lot of rules, and then it's enough to have two boys in or out sequence. Relationships, a grand right and left, I found is you can, with the grand right and left, you can get every possible relationships. It's the same in A-chain through formations. If you call pass through trade by pass or trade by, that's all the relationships you can get. In the grand right and left, you have the possibility to, if you not start with partner and everything is in sequence, you can start a grand right and left and interrupt or stop when you get your partners. You must be careful. If it's a left hand, you have to left do the do courtesy turn or do passo or switch into elementar or something like that. And if the right hand is a finished grand right and left fully, or third hand, you can swing or promenade. The figure groups, I put it in groups divided to the effect of the square of the sequence. Does the figure change no one, change all the dancers, or change the sequence of some dancers? And I made, that's only an example, that's my so-named colored list. We see on the left side, here are my B situations, and here are my A situations. The first column is these figures do not change anything. The next column is change everything, boys and girls. The next is change the left-hand dancer, like in flutter wheel. Or the next column is change the right-hand dancer. Then come change sequence of ands. That must be a line or wave formation. That's, we have no figures in the upper part. And the last column changes the sequence of the centers. You can also, I showed you last time in termination, the small axis. Because if a dancer crosses one of the lines, but you must look at one of the two lines, the sequence will change. If needed, I will show you again. This is what we have, what we watch in the square. We have two couples, mostly 1 and 4, but it works with every other couples. But I only watch the sequence of these two boys, and the corner comes automatically. Now we come to the main question of today. Why only two boys and not more? When we have the former rules and facts, we need only this list. When we have a real B in a B situation, the sequence for boys and girls is the same. That's the reason why we only need to watch two boys, because the girls is the same. If we have a real B in the A situation, the sequence is different. Have we a real A in the A situation, the sequence is the same. If a real A in the B situation, sequence is different. Have we a false B in an A situation, the sequence is also the same. And if we have a false A in an A situation, the sequence is different. That now it's getting a little bit complicated. A false A in the B situation is normally the same for boys and girls, but don't trust this. I show you later, because in the Falle, this is, you cannot see if it's really true. And if we have a C, no one has a partner, the sequence is the same. And now let's look at terminations. Do you see terminations?
Yes.
Do you see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Oh,
fine.
wonderful. Okay. Here is my two couples. And I go step by step. We start with the star through. And this is a real B in a B situation. B situation is, for example, a double pass-through position. And we know the sequence for boys and girls is the same. When we have a double pass-through, it's the same. Real B in B, the same sequence for boys and girls. Not right or wrong, but the same. I do a right roll to a wave. Here is arrangement. That's a strange or crazy arrangement. You should not look at this. When we do a quadri through and the girl run, and we see false B in an A situation. That means the sequence for boys and girls are the same. Touch a quadri. The column is not in my list, but it's mostly work like a B situation. We have a real B because they are on the hand in a B formation. The sequence is the same. Now let's do a walk and dodge. We have a real B in a B formation. Sorry, a false B, not on the hand. And the sequence is not the same. Here you must watch which figure can change the sequence of boys or girls. You can use the colored list or the short axis. We do a trade by. Nothing changed means false B in B. Sequence is not the same. When we do a swing through, the first hand does nothing, but on the second hand, a girl crosses the blue line. It means the sequence for the girls change, and we have a real B in the B situation. That means the sequence for boys and girls is the same. You can also look at the colored list. Swing through is, let's go back before swing through. On the colored list, there is on the ocean wave, let's look. When we have the ocean wave, here is the swing through, change the sequence of the ends. The girls are ends and the girls will change the sequence. Both works, the colored list or this short axis. When we do a circulate does change nothing because no one crosses the line, and we have a real B in the B situation, but now the red are in the couple recycle. Here is the boy crosses the line. We have a false B in B, means the sequence is not the same. When you do a pass the ocean, in any tidal formation, you cannot really see what happened. Doesn't matter. Watch the next figure. Single hinge. Here is a false B in B. Sequence is not the same. When we do a boy run, the boy crosses the line. A false B in B. Trade by, change nothing. Swing through, change the ends, this time the boys. And we have a real B in B. So the sequence is the same. We can and the sequence is okay. It's in sequence. I do a half circulate, boy run, bend the line, and we're home. That's an example for what happened, or what you can watch if you watch the false or real A or B in which situation. Let's look at the next examples.
Okay.
So now we have another combination. We start with the head square through. And now we have a real B in B, and the boys are in sequence. That's a standard 0 box, you know, or corner box. Boys in sequence. And you know, when B in B, the sequence for girls is the same, the girls must be also in sequence. Swing through, crosses the ends, means the boys. So we have a false B in B. The boys are out of sequence and the girl must be in because the sequence is not the same. When we do a circulate, no changes. When we do a split circulate, we get a crazy arrangement. A center trade and the girl run. Here is a normal arrangement, but it's a half arrangement. Doesn't matter, we have a false B in an A situation means the same sequence from boys and girls, and the boys are in sequence, the girls must be in sequence also. Pass through is still a false B in A. Sequence is the same, but the sequence for the boys is out of sequence. The girls must be also out. When we do a wheel and deal, the boy crosses the line. We have a false B in B. That means the sequence is not the same. The boys are in, the girls must be out. We do a Sanders flutter wheel. We have a false A in B. That means the sequence is the same. And the boys are in sequence, girls must be also in sequence. Double pass through. Same situation, but we have also a false A in B. Sequence the same. And the boys are in sequence, girls must be in sequence. Cloverleaf, no change. We have a false A in B. Sanders pass through, no changes. Now we have no changes is not right. Here is a false A in B. After the Sanders pass through, we get a C. In the C, the sequence is the same. Boys in sequence, girls must be in sequence, and it's opposite. So we can do a right and left grand halfway, or on the third hand, promenade home. Let's go to the last in this session. we do a lead right, we have a real A in B. And here is, you can read it, boys are out and girls is different. So the girls must be in sequence. Swing through change the boys, the ends, means we have a false A in B. The sequence is the same. If we have the partner, everybody knows everything is fine. Boy run, it's a classic, a real A in A. It must be the same and it's in sequence. Circulate, no changes. Bend the line, no changes. Still real A in A. We do a pass through. Still a real A in A, but the sequence of the boys is out, but the girls is the same. So the girls also out. When we do a wheel and deal, false A in B, sequence is not the same. And the boys are out, girls are in. Center square through 3. Same is means real A in B, sequence is not the same, but the center is greater 3, change the sequence of the boys and the girls. So the boys are in and the girls are out. When you do a touch a quarter, we get a crazy arrangement. Center straight, still crazy. Spin the top, still crazy. Hinge, crazy. Circulate, and the boy run. And we are now in the situation. I will show you why you not trust a false A in a B situation. You have a false A. The sequence for the boys is okay, and the girls also okay. But when we do a boys zoom, it's still a false A in B situation. But now the boys are out of sequence and the girls are in. So there's a small difference because the partners are facing in the center and the others are far apart. That's the difference. It's so don't look at the false A at the B. It could be wrong. If we do the zoom again, that's the normal situation for a wrong A, a false A in B situation. When we do a center square through 3, we have a C situation. The sequence of boys and girls is the same, but the boys are out and the girls must be also out. Let's do a slide through, still C. This is the false C in B. Boys are out, girls the same. Pass through, no changes. Wheel and deal. The girls change the sequence because they crosses the line. We have a false, and sorry, it's a real C in B. Centers pass through via left. So we have a real C in the A situation. Boys are in sequence, girls the same. And we do a boys zoom. No problem because we get a false A. In an A situation. Wheel and deal, the boy cross the line. We have a false A in a B situation. Pass through, still false A and B. Boys in sequence. The girls must be also in sequence. Can do an element left, promenade home. Where is my presentation? So now we had the most important part. Daryl said at the end of the first part, we do not need so much element left spot. We only need a pass through, trade by formation or an HJ through formation. And that comes next. You remember this resolution system. From now, I don't use it. This is only my backup system, because so I showed you in the examples, I do not need a sequence check. When we do not a sequence check.
Klaus, I'm just going to interrupt for a second, just as a reference for the questions that are coming in here. These resolution systems are the base resolution systems that a lot of people use. You've got the two-face line, the Ferris wheel, the zoom to pair out. And what he's doing is all of those are backup systems to what he's doing. So he's just doing a comparison. I just thought I'd answer that because there's a number of questions coming in. Go ahead, Klaus.
Okay. I need no in-facing lines for an A situation, because we need, why it does not work. Now, I need a trade by formation or an A chain through for A. And I need no double pass through position, because the double pass through is for my sequence check. I need an A chain through formation or a trade by formation. And this is, now we can come to home resolution systems. This could be material for an own presentation, but it's part of my system. So I'll show you some facts from home resolutions. It can only be done in state B. Paired couple must be looked the home wall or opposite. Home wall or opposite, I call it, if we call the side couples paired, they must look at the side walls, and the head couples must be look at the head couples if you want a home resolution. Here are my element left spots. I numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4 in an H chain through formation, and 5, 6, 7, 8 in trade by positions, because number 1, 2, 3, and 4, the element left spot in H chain throughs, is, I call it the nice one, or the good ones, because if you do an element left from there, you are right-handed with your partner at home, or on the third hand, still right-handed at home. and element left on spot 5, 6, 7, 8, you get the partner with the left hand. That's possible, but not so good. And for home resolution, you must know the facing direction, and the figures can change facing direction in different degrees. There are some figures, no changes. Some figures turn 1/4 or 3/4, or 2 or half. And something is mixed up. Here are some examples. If we have dancers we want to pair it up, you must know which figure you used to pair them. The standard is, for example, 2 dancers, 2 partners are facing, and you want to use a star through a slide so to couple them up. But the star through turns the facing direction 90 degrees. So it's better you, they look not at homeworlds before, then they will look at homeworlds after the star through.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You're talking about home resolution, but what type of resolution do you mean? Because there are some home resolutions where you can stand with the shoulder facing your home wall or the opposite of your home wall. So what type of resolution do you think you're talking about? Is it to an element left and right and left grand and be home, or other home resolutions?
I mean, element left and you're home, element left, grand, right, and left, and you're home.
Okay.
Or element left, grand, right, and left on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th hand, you're home.
Okay. So we're not talking
yeah,
like wheel and deal, center, sweep, a quarter, and stuff like that. We're talking about right and left grands.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just going to interject that's another question that was coming up in the chat, but as Claus goes through these next sequences, he's going to talk about in the 3rd hand, show a couple of these sequences. It'll probably answer that question a little bit more clearly in the termination sequences that are coming up as well.
Okay.
Go ahead, Claus.
Here are some easy resolution systems, also easy resolutions in 0 arrangement, in an A chain through or trade by formation, but A chain through is nicer. Sequence must be okay. Otherwise, you can change sequence with colored list or the short axis in terminations. Paired couple must look home walls or opposite walls. This is the reason, the real easiest one. Element left, you're home. I go from the A chain through formation, all positions pass through, trade by, pass through, trade by, pass through, trade by. This gives me 8 different starting formations. This is after a pass through, the first one. After pass through, we come to the second. We can element left, pass 1, phase in, you're home. This is after a trade by, element left, grand, right, left on the 3rd hand. Or on the 4th hand. It must be a courtesy turn or do peso. This is the full grand, right, left. But you can see at all cases, in this example, the couple number 4 is paired, and as a side couple, it looks to the side walls. Here and here and here and here, and all the next. This could be an element left, grand, right, left, 5 hands, or grand, right, left, and at the end pass through, phase in. This could be and grand right and left, element left, grand right and left 6 hands, or I do the shorter one, element left box net wrong way grand, and on the third hand slide through and at your home also. And that's nearly the same. And the same situation can be done in half arrangements. Same as A chain through or trade by formation, but here are the trade by formations are the nicer formation, because on the third hand or full, the right hand is by your partner. The same I like before. The side couples are paired, but everything is half arrangement. Grand right and left. This could be 7 hands or twice and the second time on the 4th hand courtesy turn. I don't like it. You can do a box on that. Pass 1, slide through. Grand right and left 6 hands. It's nearly the same without an element left like before. This is a normal grand right and left full. On the 4th hand, on the 3rd hand. It could be on the 2nd hand, but I don't like it. It's too much to talk for just 4 beats. It's not good. We have some termination examples, just real short ones. I start calling, square through 2, swing through, circulate, the head couples are paired but not looking at the same direction, and they're looking at the side walls. Here comes my hinge, that is a 90-degree turn, and the boy run, and we have head couple paired looking at head walls. We can do a pass through, wheel and deal, sequences out, center square through 3, element left, your home. Important is the 90-degree turn. Next will be an example with Dixie Grand. I found that a lot of callers have problems with preparing Dixie Grands, but in this system, it's totally easy. Heads past the ocean, extend, cast off 3/4, boy run. We can check it's a false B and A, pass through, wheel and deal. In this situation, we can do pass through. The sides can be paired, or a square through 3 and the head can be paired. That's your choice. I did it with the pass through and the slide through, so the side dancers are coupled up and look at the side walls, pass through, wheel and deal, and a zoom. And here is the Dixie Grand because we have a real B in B, sequence is okay. And if the coupled dancers are in the middle, Dixie Grand comes to home. Another Dixie Grand example. Start with the heads promenade, heads past the ocean, extend. Is the same as before. And the same question, pass through for the side couples or center square through 3 for the head couples. This time I did the square through 3. If we do a star through or slide through, the head couples will look at the side walls. But we can do a swing through. It's 180 degrees. The circulate, the boy trade, boy run, no 90-degree turn. Wheel and deal, sweep a quarter. Here is a 90-degree turn. Oh, I did it wrong. That's my fault. The sequence is okay, everything, and it's a possibility to get a Dixie Grand from a completed double pass-through position. But I not finished the setup. Oh, that's not, forget it. This should be work, hopefully. The same thing like before. The wheel and deal. Here is my question, pass through for the sides or square through 3 for the heads. I did the square through 3. The heads are looking at the head walls. That's good, but they are not paired. A slide through is a 90 degrees turn, but the pass the ocean is another 90-degree turn. When we see we have a false B in B, the sequence is not the same. If I like to do a recycle will turn the sequence of the ends, but the ends, my boys, are correct. So I do a scoot back because the girls are out of sequence, and doing a recycle now, everyone will be in sequence. We can do a grand right left 7 hands, but I don't like it. Box the net, pass through, trade by, and you're home. A real short one. Star through and spread. Pass through, half tag. We have a real B in B. Sequence is good. Grand, a wrong way, right or left grand. On the 4th hand, you're home. One example for the third hand. Heads pass through. I like to have a pass-through separator at 1 to a line, but it does not work. I did a pass-through cloverleaf and the side spread. It's the same. Slide through. Center is square through 3. We have a real B in B, means the sequence is the same and the sequence for boys is good. So we can do an element left and a right and left grand. And on the third hand, you're home. And the last one for today. Lead right means real A and B sequence is not the same. The boys are out, but the swing through brings the boys back in sequence. AC doozy is my AB changer. We have a false B in B. Sequence is not good. A recycle brings us back a real B in B. Sequence is the same, but out. Square through 3, make it in, and we can do a grand right and left. 6 hands. I call it 1.5. And you're home. And now you can may feel like this. Or this. I'm ready for today. Questions?
Wow. Okay, there was a few comments. Some of them I answered in the chat. Yes, the Taminations choreography will be posted with the PowerPoint presentation, so you can go through it at your leisure. It'll be on the website ocdcallers.com in a Word document, but I posted it in a PDF form in the chat if you wanted to download that. The comments, AB changer. I believe, yes, that is similar in theory to the X calls or what Dave Prescott was presenting. It's similar to his version of mental image where you're actually crossing the axis with one dancer to change the sequence. It's a combination of sight calling, isolated sight, mental image, and crams all sort of rolled into one. Resolving the squares, lines in and out, box, trade, buy. When he's referring to that, that's equal to the end state, not the starting state for the Allemande left. So those are the only places that you refer to the Allemande left is the ending formation, as was said. Oh, the A, B, B and B, et cetera, et cetera. I posted those into the chat, but your A, B, C, most of them are B, which is your sequencing. And then your AB in AB formation or AB situation is talking about A situation is your linear two-face line facing lines or lines facing out. B is your box formations. That's your trade by, 8 chain through, double pass through, completed double pass through. So that's what they mean. I posted those in the chat and those are also in the text. Question on sequencing that came up about 4 times. The reason you're looking at, you only have to look at the 2 boys, and this goes very, very hand in hand with what Daryl has been producing in the New Callers website. This is, if you understand the principle of diagonal opposites and symmetry, that's essentially what you're talking about here, is the diagonal opposite, why you only have to watch the 2, because the other half of the square is doing exactly the same thing. And in your B situation, you've got 3 of the dancers on one side of the square. the rules of diagonal opposite will tell you exactly where everyone is. So you don't have to worry about where everyone else is because you put them there. That's your diagonal symmetry. And if you're not sure, if you want that part to be easier, I really recommend getting onto the Newbie Callers chat site. Daryl Clendenin has put some excellent stuff out there on understanding directional symmetry and seeing where the dances are. That will make that part come in very handy. And once again, the comment, this is a mix of site calling, mental image, isolated site, and crams. Absolutely. It absolutely is. As I said earlier, one of the things that I am the strongest proponent of is the best system in the world to use for your calling is the one that works for you, that keeps the dancers happy. Claus developed this system on his own because he had no training and it worked for him. And as with the presentations that Dave Prescott gave on mental image, with Don Beck gave on mental image, various other callers, Bob Elling gave on the way he looks at the chicken plucker as opposed to the way most people, how you look at it and it works for you is the best system. And what you can take from any of these systems and make your own is what's going to work for you. So Claus, thank you very much. A very detailed and informative thing. I highly recommend you go back and watch session 1 first, and then watch session 2 again with the notes. It will make it come much, much clearer. So hopefully I've answered all of those questions. I don't see any more coming in. So let's open up the floor to Claus, and thank you very much.
I think the most problem is to realize or to view all the time, have we have A or B or maybe C? Is it a real? Is it a false one? If you learn that, you need only 2 boys or 2 girls, because all the other dancers are automatically right or wrong. That's my goal.
I had Mickey with his hand up first, and then Guga.
Yeah, I have a suggestion for clarification regarding the home resolution heading. Maybe it should be like an element left or / right and left grand home resolution, because it's maybe confusing for the one or the other regarding home resolution, because there are other home resolutions which do not work with a right and left grand, but whatever, which circulates 1.5 or wheel and deal and sweep a quarter, or Ferris wheels and sweep a quarter, which are also home resolutions. So this would maybe help for clarification a little bit.
A circulate makes nothing different than a pass through trade by or a right or left grand halfway. So you can use it the same way. You are right. Ferris wheel center sweep a quarter is a different other working system.
Yeah, I think the principle of what's being said is when people say at home resolution, they're saying square through, whoppity splash, ding dong dong, you're home. As opposed to Alaman left, right and left grand on the third hand, you're home. And it was just adding that clarification of these are setting you up for an Alaman left position or a right and left grand position, that at the completion or the interrupted completion, you will end up in or at home. Right. So yeah, it's a clarification. If you understand, it's easy to make a notation. Guga, you had your hand up.
Yeah, you started off by telling us that the relation wasn't as important. We'll fix that later. But isn't the relation exactly what these A, B, and C are? If you have an A situation, you have a partner grouping of some kind. If you have a C, you have an opposite grouping. If you have a B or C, you have some kind of corner or across the street grouping or relation.
When I said the relation is not important for me, that means when I realized I have an A or B or C, it's real or false, and I resolve the square, the relation I start an element left not with the real corner, but with that corner I can get. And then I finished up my grand right and left at my partner. So the relationship comes to 0.
Everybody understand that?
No.
The essence of the relationship when you're looking at it, the way Claus looks at it is you've got 3 situations. You've got your A, B, or C situation. And with those situations, that's what he looks at and he recognizes. He's not looking for, is it a partner relationship? Is it a boy, boy, girl, girl? Is, you know, what those specific relationships are that other systems use. With one of those 3 relationships, he looks at A, B, C, and then the situation, A situation or B situation. From there, he knows with his system, there's only certain outcomes that you can have. Those are those 8 Alamand spots that he talked about, or right and left brand spots on the third hand. He can use one of those that fits the situation, and it will always take him to his resolution. That part of relationship takes care of itself, rather than focusing on, I've got to pair up a key couple, I've got to get these people here, I've got to move them there. It goes through that whole process, but by recognizing A, B, or C, that focus on the relationship aspect takes care of itself. It's still being done. It's just you don't have to focus so heavily on it. Does that kind of answer your question, Guga?
Yeah, but a follow-up. You said that one of your favorite switches from A to B was AC/DC. Why doesn't it switch from B to C?
It do it so. An A and a C is nearly the same, but the C is harder to watch, especially for younger callers. A and C is the same. So an A/B changer is also a C/B changer. It's the same, but I call it A/B changer.
The best way to look at that is if you set up a wave with heads lead to the right, so you've got everybody with their partner facing the same direction in the wave. If you call the AC/DC that way and watch the changes from, it'll either change from an A where everybody has their partner to a C, or vice versa with the AC/DC. So it'll do that kind of a flip-flop. And when you have a B, it'll go one way or the other.
Did you all know that Michael Jackson tried to be a caller and following that system, and he gave up and became a pop star? A, B, C. He made a song about it. A, B, C. I'm just kidding.
How long have you been saving that one, Mickey? The floor is open for questions. Yes, it is a complex system, looking at it with a brand new pair of eyes, because it has a whole bunch of integrated rules and everything else. I liken to it, and I won't lie, I had a real hard time wrapping my head around it, and I still don't understand it fully, but I have followed it and I know it works. If you take a step back, if you remember when Dave Prescott and Don Beck were here presenting on mental image, if you can take a step back and let go of what you're locked into your system and look at it, you can understand it. And there are going to be things within this system that you'll be pulling out that will be very helpful to you, or you'll recognize the parallels to what you do. The biggest parallel that I found in it was that of directional opposites. I have a hard time looking at 4 dancers and picking out directional opposites without stopping and thinking about them. Using this system, if you can just isolate A, B, C, there it is, it takes care of itself, and you can go on and you become better at it, and you can integrate that with, if you have a problem with that. There's something in it for everybody, because it actually incorporates all the different methods of calling, site calling and site resolution that are out there. So have a look at it. It's very interesting. It's a good system and it works for you. And if it doesn't work for you, that's nothing bad about that either, because as I said, the best system is the one that works for you, that keeps your dancers happy. Have we got any more questions, comments, queries, points?
By the way, Mel, I missed the recorded Dave Prescott sessions. Are they deleted?
Have to ask Mark on that one.
Oh, it comes later.
Yeah, I'll have a look and find out what's going on. If they were, they probably got deleted accidentally, because I know they were up there at one point. Anybody have any more questions for Klaus? Yes, Mickey.
Yeah, what I see with the ABC is pretty similar with recognizing, memorizing, and switching forth and back like the X and the O's calls. But I see a very much stress put on keeping the sequence. What I think is, and my question would be, when tracking the sequence, this is an additional step when checking the sequence and then categorizing into A, B, or C. Why is that necessary? That I didn't get, because if I can check the sequence, then I just can go along with the sequence status of in, out, boys, girls. But maybe I missed something there.
Okay, first of all, I'm happy with my system because I do not need check everything all the time. I can free call as long as I want and start checking at any time. If I do this system for a long time, and I do more than 40 years, it's the checking, if we have an A-B changer or not, is automatically for me. So I do the checking, if we have a B or an A or C is the same, is very easy. And I memorize that and can now focus on the two boys sequence, because I know if we have an A-B changer or not. And if we have no A-B changer, we can resolve very fast. It's a question of training.
It does, you're absolutely right, Mickey. It does do that. And if you are into tracking the sequences that way and you have your methodology, it does exactly the same thing. All this does, it skips that step. It's a little simplified in a lot of ways by skipping that, having to follow the sequence by just isolating into three possibilities. But from there, it also does limit your resolutions to those 8 positions. So you're absolutely correct. But as a starting point, it's a great starting point. Daryl, you had your hand up. You're muted, Daryl. There you go.
Yeah. I've got to get rid of the wife's TV for a second. All right. I am so impressed, Klaus, with all of what you can remember. Me, I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. For me, everything has to be simple. Now, you started out really, really good, and I understood that first part of it, where you said there are 3 possible states. You didn't call them states. I've called them states for decades, actually, where one has a partner within the group, 2 have partners within the group, or no one has partners within the group. And that's the basis of resolving by sight. What I got out of your presentation is the site is, you're using it for more than just resolution. You're using it for get outs. setups for get outs within your system there. And that is interesting, but it's a lot to remember. The actual resolution to an element left is very, very simple. And it's based on those 3 states that you mentioned there.
Very nice.
Enough
summary.
said. I'm impressed. Thank you, Klaus.
And I'll just reiterate that I had a real difficult time following what Klaus was saying until I took that step back and went back and reviewed what Daryl was saying very early in some of the training sessions that he put out. And it just says, you've got 3 options, here they are. And the reason it's probably, and this is just my opinion, the reason I think that it's easier for Klaus to remember is because he didn't have to unlearn anything to learn this. He had no training, nobody training him, and he developed this as his own way of understanding. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to have this presentation is Klaus, as a new caller, developed this system completely independent from all the other systems because there was no training out there. But even in developing his system, the rules of what he does, the 3 methodologies, the pairing, his ABC as opposed to the others, all of those rules stay the same. It's just a different way of looking at the same thing. And this is what we want to present out here because there are a lot of ways of doing things differently. We had a question. I'll come right back. Somebody else had their hand up and then I'll come right back to you, Daryl. Was that you, Goog? Oh, sorry, I'm trying to do 3 different systems. Guga.
I was think of just so I get it also. I wrote a list on the chat there, which I think Klaus already answered, that there are actually very few calls that are A/B changes. At basic, there's a column circulate. That's the only call which involves all 8 answer, which would actually change the from an A to B. At mainstream, you have a spin change through, which is the only 8 call, and a few more at plus and A1, of course. Cast a shadow must be one of those. So it's more of a, could it be more of a alarm bell that goes along when one of those calls are called? Okay, now I've changed something, rather than keeping track all the time.
This list you sent, yes, it's okay, but there are some more figures. Whenever single dancers as centers or ends and lines or waves circulate or passes, and very important are the figures they do in the center. If only the centers do something like flutter wheel or a swing through, in the center is this A/B changer, includes a crazy arrangement. You must be aware of that.
That parallels what both Don and Dave were saying, as opposed to the X's and O's or the northern and southern hemisphere, depending on how you look at it. When somebody crosses that line, you're going to have either one person cross the line or both people cross the line. What's going to change? It does the same thing. And as I said, I think Don summed it up best. And I think he personally, I can't clarify this, but I think he stole it from Jay King, which was, you don't have to remember all the calls that don't do something, because there's only a few that do something. If you remember those calls, the rest of it's easy. And he, of course, was referring to the partner change call, or the X calls, if you will. Daryl, you had your hand up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Klaus. I'll let you address that.
Yes, I want to say, I know what my system has a part of mental image thing, and that's the reason why I learned mental image with Don Beck 1 or 2 years ago. But I don't like to watch all the rules all the time. In mental image, especially in Don Beck's mental images system, you have to watch the rules without any pause. And in my system, you can free call. And if you want to watch the system, you check ABC or something. You can mix it up.
Daryl, you had your hand up?
Yeah, of course, Klaus, I started as a mental image caller 50 years ago, and I came up from that. I can understand exactly where you're coming from. Some of the things that you said as a site resolution caller myself, formation, you said FASR, formation, arrangement, sequence, and relationship. And the relationship you weren't too concerned about. For me, for site resolution, I have no need for sequence whatsoever, period. It just doesn't enter into resolving to a corner. It takes care of itself if I get to the corner. That's why the 3 states are important to know and how to resolve from each one of those. And first thing you got to solve, arrange or formation, that's fine. If you're in waves or columns or something, you need to know how to get to facing couples, because you can't get to an 8 chain through without getting to facing couples. And it's awfully hard to do a trade by formation without getting to, at least for small intellects like myself. So solve the formation. Arrangement, boy, boy, girl, girl, you have to solve that, because boy, boy, girl, girl, and symmetric choreography does not allow for those wild kind of arrangements in the element left. If element left is what you're looking for, it's in the grid, it's in an 8 chain through, or it's in a trade by. That's all there is in symmetric choreography. And you have the 3 states. And if you get anybody to the corner, they're all going to be the corner and they're going to be in sequence. That's from my experience anyway. But thank you. I found everything that you did interesting. Some of it confusing, but interesting.
I think it's a little bit confusing because I don't need to see the corner. I don't know the corner because I look at the boys sequence and the partner pairings. And so I can resolve. I saw a lot of callers, they must see and contact with the corner. And I'm bored of that. That's too easy. You can know what they want. And in my system, no one knows what comes next.
I'd like to add on one thing to that, Klaus. One of the things that I have always said about any of these systems is start with what you're comfortable, start small and build up. And your system where you had the resolutions, when we're talking about a 0 arrangement or a half arrangement or a half-8 arrangement, if you start with the 0 arrangement first, and he said, if you normalize, you'll get to one of these spots for the Alaman left to the right and left grand and however many hands. The second part of that, which I saw a lot of confusion, was the half arrangements going to the right and left grand and how many hands. The reality of those half arrangements is all you've done is you've taken the Alaman left out of the equation and you've come back to the next step. So it's the same thing, one position removed. And if you remember some of the other presentations that we've had, it's exactly the same. So if you start with a normalized relationship for those 8 positions for the Alaman left or the 3 states, even simplify it further, then the next step, the half arrangement, all that is a natural progression. Moving forward without the Alaman left, you're already there because you recognize it, you set it up. And I think, Daryl, you hit the nail on the head. It's a great way of setting up like site calling and setting up for those Alamand left resolutions or for those right and left brand resolutions. That's very much what it is. I have Brian Clark, you have your hand up.
Forget outs.
Forget outs, yes, sorry.
Yeah, so in watching this, I actually felt, Klaus, that your method was very ingenious. I thought it was very incredible how it was done. But like any other system that's out there, the only way that it's going to be successful for anyone who tries to use it is years and years and years of practice. It's going to take a long time for people to be able to manage it and be able to do it as seamlessly as you apparently do. So that's really all it takes. You know, almost any one of these systems that are out there, once you learn it and then you practice it over and over and over again, it then becomes secondhand and second nature to you, and then you can do it without you even thinking about it.
Since a few years, I do caller trainings with new or experienced callers, and I found out that the newer callers had not that problem to learn. It's a lot of material to learn, but the different look is hard to learn for an established caller, because they all the time look for the corner, and that is not the way I teach them.
For those new callers that we still have left, looking for the corner is what is taught generally as that foundation, or setting up to find your corner is that foundation of all the resolution techniques that begin with friends and enemies, two-face line, or box resolutions. This system doesn't look at that. It sets up a formation, and you just have to remember these rules, 1, 2, 3 hands, whatever, to find your partner. The Alamand left states is just 8 positions. That's it. So you don't have to unlearn. Did that answer your question, Brian, or your comment? Did we lose Brian? Oh, he seems, must have dropped
He's
off.
gone.
Was that Mickey that you had your hand up?
Yeah, but I think Mark just showed up. You may want to ask him about Dave Prescott's sessions.
I'm back.
Yeah, I believe there was a couple of errors that Dave had, and Dave is a bit of a perfectionist that he had in his presentation. So he is going to be sending the text once he's corrected those. He got booked off another calling, but he didn't want the videos to go with those errors in, because a couple of people were looking at it without the context of the presentation. So I believe Dave is asked to have those pulled off the site until he can get that fixed, and then he'll.
Isn't that the ones we already did?
Sorry?
Isn't that the ones we already did?
Yeah, the presentations and whatnot are not up on the site for Dave Prescott. And I believe that was because Dave asked him to pull down until he could make the corrections to the documents that he had.
I saw the first 2 parts and I missed the third. And I couldn't join, and now it's gone.
But I'm definitely, as soon as Dave gets his schedule, I definitely want him to come back. He's got a couple more presentations scheduled that I want him to have a look at, and you can direct all your questions to Dave directly on that one.
Yeah, you've got a couple of Dave Prescott ones up in May and October last year.
Yeah, I think the third one had some errors in it.
That's what I was trying to figure out, how to search for. How do you spell his name?
Preskitt or Dave. Well, Klaus, I want to say very much thank you for coming back to do the second part of this presentation. Very enjoyable. And as I said to everybody, have a look at both of these. If you take them both in context over time with the documents, the choreography will be posted up on the webpage as well that Klaus was pasting in intaminations and showing you with all his annotations on it. So it's easier to follow. That way you don't have to copy it all down. And wow, That's all I can say is wow. It's a very ingenious and a great system. And thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you very much to get the chance to show the system. It's in the full system is the second time I did this presentation, and I never did a presentation in English. And I'm happy it's done.
We could see I didn't have very much clarification. There was a couple of things people were asking, and I think you did an absolutely fantastic job, not only of the presentation. What happened here? I seem to have lost my Zoom. There we are. I think you did an absolutely fantastic presentation in English and an absolutely fantastic presentation right off the bat. It was great.
Thank you.
Next week is the 27th, I believe. Well, the 27th here in Australia. I'm still waiting for confirmation, but I believe we have Walt and Julianne Burr are coming to speak to us, and they're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to us, which is teaching techniques. And that's going back and actually just looking at our teaching techniques. We have a lot of stuff that we have to look at as callers. And unfortunately, we tend to focus too heavily on the choreography and not heavy enough on teaching effectively with enjoyment for the dancers. So Walt and Julianne are going to be coming to talk to us about that next week, hopefully. And I look forward to that presentation. So if nobody has any more questions for Claus, thank you very much for coming in, Claus. Mark, I want to, as always, say thank you for acting as my co-host, but also looking after all the technical stuff. A great resource putting this stuff up. Mark posts all the stuff from our sessions, but also from Dan Like and Don Beck's sessions up on the OC Callers website. So it's a great resource for new callers and experienced callers to go back and have a look at single aspects of calling in more detail, as opposed to the caller school aspect where you get 500 topics fired down your throat with a fire hose, and then you take them home and digest it. You still get a lot fired with the fire hose, but it's one topic at a time that you can digest at your own pace. So Mark, thank you very much. We could not do that without your support and with all the work that you put in. And if nobody has any more questions for Claus, let's open the floor up for discussion. Anybody have anything they would like to look at, talk about? We've got Caller Lab Convention coming up. There's Caller Schools coming up. Behind the mic resources, Don gave an excellent Don had an excellent presentation today on the history project and what's going on, some of the material that's there. Go back and have a look at that. Behind the Mic magazine is out for February. As I said, there's a couple of records. David Cox has released one, and Barry Wanson has done the Skyboat song. Those are the two things that are actually funding Behind the Mic magazine. There's some new equipment that Barry has to get because this stuff has got old and cark out in order to keep producing the magazine. And it is a free magazine to callers, but right now we're struggling a bit. So if you like the song, the Skyboat song, or the other one, I can't remember the name of it right now, that David Cox has put out, purchase them, because the purchase of those songs actually goes to funding the magazine. Both the callers have put that there, and they are really good, really nice songs. There's a lot of new music coming out, and like prior to the session, Yolanda came in to look at different aspects of teaching calling, modifying singing calls. If there's things like that you want to look at choreographically, by all means, put it up as a topic. Whether you're a new caller or an experienced caller, you can lead one of these sessions as effectively as anyone else with a question to generate discussion. So it's open.
Could I just give you a thank you for arranging these sessions? What I think it's amazing job for both experienced and newer callers. Thank you, Mel.
I just realized that as of the 27th of March, well, the last week of March, it's now going to be 3 years that we've done this every week, except for 2 weeks that we have missed, and the 2 weeks at Christmas. And didn't really know we knew that much about calling. And the reality is, looking back on some of that, we've only just scratched the surface. There's
Has
a
your
lot of
calling
stuff.
improved, Mel?
I wish I could say that. It has. Unfortunately, I haven't done any calling in the last, when was my last gig? 7 months. I haven't done any calling in the last 7 months. I was lucky I had a couple of open things that we were still able to do, but as far as that goes, other than mentoring, working one-on-one with callers or doing these online sessions, I have not been able to put in practice what is going out here. So right now it's just the passing of the information. Hopefully people can take it, look at different aspects, and improve the technicalities and the presentation of their own craft, which I'm hoping it's working for me even through osmosis, if you will. I have been helping Bob Elling and Tracy Brown. There's a lot of new records out there, or well, not new records, old records that have been recovered, digitized, and put out to get those marketable and on the system. I just finished Goody Goody, which many of you probably know that song. Goody Goody. So that's out there with some, different choreography that's going with it, as opposed to the old-fashioned choreography, because a lot of people love those records. They use them, but the music is not there digitally. So we're trying to recover a lot of that material. Nick and Marianne Turner from, I wanted to say Prince George, but it's not Prince George. It's
Williams Lake.
Williams Lake, thank you. British Columbia have just released their version of the SSD program. It's an SSD training document. And it's done for 12 weeks. It's also done for 24 weeks because in writing the document and doing it, they've recognized the reality that SSD can be a 12-week program, or it can be a 24-week program, or it can be just an enjoyable dance program. And it takes you step by step through it with some choreography, very much in the vein of the old caller teacher manual. Excellent document. But as always, even with my own stuff, if I send you material, double check it first, make sure it all works.
Yeah.
Because we are all infallible and we all make mistakes. You wanted to say something, Yolanda?
Yeah, it's not 24 weeks, it's 21 weeks. I know it's a small thing,
sorry.
but yeah.
Sorry. But it is like that. And we still have callers that do basic as a program. And it's a 1-year program for just basic. In other places, it's a 2-year program. And you know what? Every single one of those callers is absolutely correct. If they can get the dancers on the floor having a good time, if you do from 0 to A1 in 3 weeks on a blast class weekend and your dancers are dancing that program and they're happy and dancing, you're doing it right. If you do 0 to the first 25 movements of basic and it takes you 3 years and your dancers are coming and they're happy and they're dancing, you're doing it right. That's my opinion. How you do it, how you learn it is all for one reason, and that's to keep the dancers happy, entertained, and hopefully coming back and wanting more. So whatever you use, do it right. And that's what these sessions are about.
Could I just ask both our German friends and Hanna in Malmö, how is it used anywhere where you know?
Is what used?
The SSD program.
Yes, there's a few clubs here in Australia that are using SSD.
That's why I asked the German and the Southern Sweden friends.
There was a couple of
I can answer you, go get that.
Callers in Japan that said they were looking at it, but they're really getting hesitation. And from some of the German and actually the Russians as well, said they were looking at it as an introduction, but not as just an introduction to get them moving, but then they were going to incorporate it. I cannot speak for all of the other clubs, but that would actually be very interesting to see what's happening worldwide. Sorry, Hannah, you were saying something?
I tried to answer Guga's question. We are using it in 2 clubs in the southern of Sweden right now.
There you go. How's it going with that?
Well, the time schedule is impossible to keep, mostly because people are coming and then they are traveling for 2-3 weeks, and then they are coming again 2 weeks, and then somebody else is gone. So it's most depending upon that we cannot keep the schedule.
Just like in all regular classes as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm having a
I can
traditional
also say right now that we have one smaller club. They have 4 beginners, and we have, I think, 10 or 12. You never know because they come and go. And from these people, I can already now say that some of them would enjoy SSD dancing more than the regular dancing, because they are not so interested of the square dancing choreography, if I would put it like that. They are more interested by having fun. Simple and having fun.
I love the way you express that, Hannah, because it's something that I hear a lot. And I've heard it very, very much expressed that way since the late 90s, when CDP, Club 50, all these other things were coming out to simplify it. And that was, oh, they like it better because they have fun. And all that said to me was, we as callers have done it wrong. Because if the dancers aren't having fun, then we should be hanging up our shingles as callers, because we're definitely doing it wrong. Every level, doesn't matter how your presentation is, should be fun. And when dancers come to you and say, well, we like SSD better because it's fun, you really need to take a step back and listen. If a dancer says that to you, you need to take a step back and look at what you're doing and how you're presenting it, because you might realize you're calling for yourself and the choreography and a small elite group of clientele as opposed for the activity in itself. Martin, you had your hand up.
Yeah, there's no SSD in my area, southern Germany, but the discussion had an impact on clubs, on the way the classes are designed, and I think you have to make a difference, Mel, between the single caller and the single dancer and the area. My assumption is that here in the southern Germany part, where I call, the exchange between the clubs, visiting other clubs, going to dances, is a very, very vital part of a square dance life, of being a square dancer. So an SSD club would not fit into that exchange. So we always had a discussion about limiting the classes to standard applications. And that's another impact of the SSD program, that among the callers, standard applications has become, again, a topic.
Yeah. Well, I did a session on standard applications a while back. And one of the things that really came out is most callers, didn't matter if they've been calling for 60 years or 6 weeks. The vast majority, right across the spread, have never looked at the standard applications document or what standard applications really are. They think standard applications means plain vanilla, no innovation, repetitive calling, the same sequence over and over. Let's take it back to 1930s, where you had couple number 1 lead to the right, couple number 2 lead to the right, couple number 3 lead to the right, couple number 4 lead to the right. Everybody's home. Great, you did well. Next sequence, and you repeat it and you repeat it and you repeat it to a different piece of music. That's not what standard applications is. It might be worth digging that out or doing another session on standard applications and what it really means, because that misconception has led to a definite loss of innovation. And that in itself has led to a lot of opposition to the SSD program. I'm not a proponent or an opponent of the SSD program. I can see the merit of the program, and it is a great program in many areas because it's filling a need that is there. But even Jerry Story said when he was here talking about the SSD program, and I use him because he designed it, says, if you don't need it in your area, don't use it. If your dancers are doing basic and they're doing mainstream and they're happy doing that, and they do basic and mainstream a year and they love visiting and they love coming to dance, or they only come to your club and they dance mainstream, they can go to an SSD dance anywhere and visit. It doesn't work the other way around unless you tell that caller that you've got an SSD group coming. And what is it? It's 14 movements. A good caller can take 14 movements out of his program and still give a good dance. That's not an issue. SSD program, unfortunately, even in the States, and I'm hearing this more and more, is not an SSD program. It's a fast track to get dancers in the hall so we can get them dancing quickly, move them around, and then take our time teaching them mainstream and integrate them into the Plus Club. That's not what the program is designed for, but you know, people are people. They're going to do what pays the bills or what the clubs wants, or if somebody's going to nowadays pay you $100 a night to call a square dance, but you have to do this, chances are you're going to do it because that's where the paycheck comes. I think the days of making $35,000 to $40,000 a year calling square dancing as a second job are long gone for a lot of us. So, yes, Mark, you had your hand up.
I'm kind of confused on Dave Priskett. There's no Dave Priskett videos on Orange County Callers Association.
Yeah, I know. If I remember
none
correctly,
on my YouTube channel either. So
no, if I remember correctly, Dave, there was a couple of errors in the presentations that he wanted to correct. Dave asked us to take those down till he get them fixed, and he'll give the documentation when he comes back, hopefully. But
I still have
think
the 3 original videos of his, but they're on my computer. They're not on the website or anything.
Yeah, that's because he asked us to take them down. That was going back.
Oh, okay. Because I heard somebody say there was some in May and
yeah, they were up there originally. They were up there originally, but we took them down.
Okay, it was longer than last week. I forget.
Oh, it was about 5-6 months ago, actually.
Okay, so I'm good then. I was getting panicked.
Yeah, you're
I'm
good.
like, wait a minute, I'm not finding nothing. Where are these supposed to be at?
No, they were on the website. There's been a few videos taken down off the website because, and some callers are like that. Dave is very much like that. If you're going to put a video out or a presentation out, especially a teaching video, you want it all to be right. I like them all the way. Like, for instance, Klaus, the third last sequence that you had, there was a sequence thing because I think you were setting up for something, but you forgot to type in what was in your head and just went home. And that's fine. That's noted in the video. Once Klaus gets that corrected on the Word document for terminations, he'll send that to us and we'll replace the one that's going up there with that, with a note that this has been corrected on sequence. Other callers don't like to have their videos put up. There's been a few sessions that are here that aren't up on the site because they just didn't want it to be there. It was just a discussion. And of course, the first year and a half of sessions that were done smaller scale, none of those are recorded because we weren't even thinking about doing it at the time as a resource until we started getting into it. So,
and we've had some where I've had to go and edit out the after the presentation area because there were comments being made and said that they didn't want publicized.
Yeah.
And music being played that was giving me copyright notices on YouTube. I've had to take them out.
Yeah, that's true too. Actually, at this point, you could probably stop the recording, Mark, because we're just in that. But